Oh, yeah. Nothing says Happy Friday like doing a live broadcast for the uneducated. We are Legion. Uneducated Legion. There you go. Welcome to Smartly Uneducated, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. I'm having a great day.
Oh, yeah, brother.
I'm doing fantastic. And I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Evan.
And I'm also having a wonderful day, wonderful, beautiful Friday. We're having a great live stream going on today. And if you are all just now viewing us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Make sure you tell everybody you know about us, because without you, we can't do this. You know what I'm saying?
Tell your cats, your dogs.
We can't do anything without y'all. So
your pet mice.
Thank you all for joining us every single Friday. It's awesome to have you here. We love seeing you, love having you, chit-chatting with you. It's going to be a good one. It's the first 90-degree weather day here in Texas, and that sucks my butt. I hated it so much. It was not fun. It was not fun at all.
That sucks my butt.
It does suck my butt.
Wait.
You like the way I say that?
Isn't that like a rim job? Or?
It's something like that, dog. I don't like that either.
So, yeah. You need to grow up, dude. That's gross.
Hey, grow up or blow up, dude. You know what I'm saying, dog? Keep it real, dude.
Yeah, keep it real.
So as always, I always start the show off with a little bit of news from the world and news of what's going on. As you all know, we've seen Donald Trump over there in Saudi Arabia and in Qatar.
Like your little R roll,
doing
bro.
$1.2 trillion in deals. Fucking insane amount of money. That's crazy.
It is.
But in other news, turns out that China has been putting remote listeners and trackable devices inside of solar panels that they're selling to Americans.
No.
Ghost machine rogue communication devices. These communication devices found in Chinese inverters from a Yahoo News article discusses a concerning discovery in the renewable energy sector. Rogue communication devices have been found embedded within Chinese-made power inverters, which are crucial components in solar and wind energy, which is quite damning, if you ask me. It's just like, hey, yeah, we buy these things from you, and, well, you are spying on us using them. This issue is highlighting the vulnerabilities of our global supply chain, right? We buy everything from one country, and then this country is just sabotaging us in the interim, in the exchange. That's not cool. That's not cool at all, dude.
That's not cool at all.
Oh, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
Make our own. Let's make them here. Why don't we just make them here in America? You know what I'm saying? Buy them from
America.
Alaska's got a lot of space. We can just put a big up factory up there.
Yes, Alaska has a lot of space.
I mean, we got to watch out for that Nanatu, but...
Nanita.
Oh, there it is, Nanita.
Nantina.
What did I say? Nanatu?
Yeah, you said Nanatu.
And very Texan at that, too. Nanatu. Shoot, we better watch out for that Nanatu. But yeah, and then in another news, the first autonomous electric mining fleet has been released in Mongolia. Did you hear me?
Wait, repeat that again?
The first autonomous coal miners have gotten to work in Mongolia.
How's that working out?
Pretty good. It's just a bunch of trucks. So it's like autonomous taxis, but they're vehicles that are just full of dirt and coal that are just moving between points all day long, being filled up, just moving back and forth. It's really cool. It's the autonomous operation. The trucks are driverless, reducing the need for human presence in hazardous mining environments. They're all electric powered. They're all 5G network coordinated, and they're safety and efficient, as they're saying, which I think is really cool. So I know I just talked about how China is putting communication devices inside of our solar panels, but they're also producing really cool tech for future concepts in terms of fully autonomous vehicles.
Well, that's cool.
Right?
That's pretty tight.
It's way cooler than the fucking LA Waymo where homeless people are sleeping in, just going around in circles, using them as their personal fuck boats and shit machines.
Yeah, no shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's the future, dude. Future's now.
Well, I thought was really, speaking of autonomous machinery and things like that, they had the Teslas, I forgot what model.
The robo-taxis, huh?
No. It was dancing. It was doing its
the robots.
Yeah, the robot. It was a humanoid like robot, and it was doing all these like the dancing and stuff. It's like a whole new it was them kind of just showing off, you know, its capabilities of balance and how capable it is of movement.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I
wild.
did the little Trump dance.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the Trump dance though.
I
It's a good to go to
I just
at
like
a party, dude.
anybody who dances. If you're gonna dance, I like you. Just get in there, get groovy, get funky, dance like no one's watching. I do it all the time.
I do it all the time.
I truly do. My dogs started dancing with me, having a good old time.
That's nice.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's really
That's a
nice.
good time. My dog dances with me too. Mainly
yeah?
Oliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's humping you.
Yeah, no. So Oliver's a huge dog. He's a basically a Great Pyrenees mix with a Australian Shepherd,
It's a big old dog.
and he took more on the Great Pyrenees size, but he's got the Australian Shepherd like face shape and skull shape, so he's not like an ugly breed. He's beautiful. He's a handsome dude. But I'll tell you right now, if you start like dancing around the music and be like, actually jumping around, he will horseshoe his whole body and hop because he is just having fun.
Oh yeah, dude. He's
Because he wants the butt rubs.
he's feeling the
That's what's happening.
feeling the rhythm, feeling the ride, feeling the vibe.
Oh, dude, you
Moving
just made me
along.
think of Cool Runnings, dude.
Yeah, feel the rhythm, feel the
There you
vibe.
go.
Come on now, it's bobsled time.
I put the camera on you for that.
That was a
one.
little bit of an Indian accent. I was mostly going for an African one, and I failed that miserable. And they're Jamaican anyway, so
Anyways.
I failed it on multiple fronts there.
Well, I don't know if you guys can tell, because obviously we're supposed to be talking about, we will be talking about pretty much the lost battle on drugs that are just happening. Everything from, non-pharmaceutical drugs to pharmaceutical drugs that is one giant epidemic, and everyone's aware that we have an epidemic of drugs going on in the United States and all over the world in all reality. And as you can tell, my co-host here, Mr. Evan, also known as the Wiz, he may be on drugs right now.
Whoa. These accusations I will not stand for. These accusations I will not be a part of. I did not have sex with that woman. No.
Well, as you can tell here, one of his other personalities came out.
No,
Let's talk
but-
about schizophrenia.
Was that JFK?
You started going into a JFK style.
And then Bill Clinton did.
yeah.
Nah, well, there we go. There's something. I lost the plot in the middle
Just
of all that.
Jifkit?
Jiffed.
He's been jiffed.
Yeah, oh boy,
Right?
I got jiffed.
Yeah, something like that. So
yeah.
what news do you have on top of the hour? I put it over to you. You always like to give news.
I've just given 2 news stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cody, fuck Jerry. Yeah, R.A. Cisco, fuck Jerry.
Yes,
Jerry said
yes.
Juck Ferry, actually.
Cody, my man. It's
Welcome
been so
back,
long.
Cody. Welcome
I've
back.
missed you. I was actually just thinking of you the other day. Don't get it twisted. It was inappropriate. But at the same time, it was quite consensual. You weren't there to say no.
Wait a minute.
It was in my head, dude. My imagination said yes.
No, wait, dude, you got
Yes.
taken over by a poltergeist, and you were having an out of body experience traveling the cosmos.
God damn it, Olivia James. Stay out of my house. I'm just kidding. Olivia, you're awesome. Love you to death. Anyways, but yeah, it's nice to see you here, Cody. And yes, Ryan, we love you too. Did you put Juck Ferry? Hey, I just read that. I read.
I'm so.
I know what words are.
Ben,
I know
Ben,
what words are.
hey, I know you might have never heard this in your life. I'm proud of you, Ben. I'm proud of you.
Ew.
You did a good job today.
Thanks.
You read some words, dude.
Dude, you read some words.
But yeah,
fuck
So
Jerry.
today we're talking about these the war on drugs, possibly the failed battle, possibly the benefit of them. I don't know. We're just gonna sort of get into it, right?
Let's just talk about it, man.
Um,
I think there's a lot when people talk about drug epidemic or blah 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 blah.
It
Jeez.
wouldn't be an episode
can
with the faulty.
I can read, but I can't speak. So, no, like when people talk about an epidemic of drugs going on, most of the time it's always talking about like, oh, fentanyl, this or this. Or when they talk about pharmaceutical drugs, they touch on these highlighted pieces.
Yeah.
That's it. No one talks about the actual day-to-day average Joe of a plethora of other pharmaceutical drugs they take, or just hard drugs in general.
Well, I think
it's like I feel like it gets overlooked.
I think that they do talk about it. It's just
It's never really publicized.
it's less spotlighted because it's not like a designer pretty drug that people are all doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have your designer drugs. You have like cocaine, you have heroin, you have these really hard famous drugs, weed, all
Yeah.
very famous drugs. But then you get you can fall into the antidepressant side. Antidepressants are also very addicting, and then you can fall into the pharmaceutical-based drugs that you think are going to be beneficial to you, but in fact are meant to harm you. Think like blood pressure drugs, blood pressure medicine.
Yep.
They're stabilizing an illness that is just, so it's curable, but they're just putting a Band-Aid over it and saying, yeah, you'll die in like 10, 15 years and no big deal.
Yeah. And then, you also, there's like the other one that people don't want to talk about, which is, which this one has been associated with every single mass shooter that has happened at a school, at any kind of active shooter situation we've had that's happened in a public place. You know what they all share in common?
Fortnite.
Antidepressants.
I was close.
They were all on some form of heavy antidepressant. And we're not talking about like, a 5 milligram dose. We're talking about 15 and up.
Yeah, absolutely.
On every single one of them, which antidepressants, just so anyone who's listening knows, it's stated in the fine little print, suicidal and like harm tendencies, like you're out of the side effects, you could basically become a violent and hurtful person, and not think clearly at all. So, but what does that tell you? If there are all these active shooters and all that stuff, I'm not trying to get on the active shooter part, but I'm just using it as an example of people aren't talking about that enough. I know some people are, and I've noticed that there's like a couple of videos kind of going around like shorts and viral, like going viral a little bit. Where they're talking about that finally, but it's not getting the main spotlight still, because that's the bread and butter for pharmaceutical
companies. A very valid point, right? So you have all these people who are thinking that they're depressed, thinking they have a mental illness when really they have a social depravity, or they need something for an outlet. May it be sports, exercise, health in general, and they just shove them with this quick fix dopamine enhancer, which is not the correct solution, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The dopamine dysmorphia issue that we have in America is significantly worse than people are letting on. You have all of these kids who are like 18, 19, 20 years old who are depressed and sad and wanting to find an outlet when they're just stuck doing this 24/7, staring at their phone, reading things on X, reading things on the internet, seeing bad killings on the internet, and it fucks with their head, right? And so their body craves some sort of release and some sort of dopamine to be given to them. So they get caught looking at quick videos, shorts, all these different things, to then eventually those don't do anything for them. So they go talk to their quote unquote therapist or their parent, and they're like, yeah, go take this little pill to make you happy.
Yeah.
And it's a quick fix.
Well,
right?
Can I give some insight as to why the antidepressants and that side? So this all kind of actually plays into the current, the big trend of like, see a therapist, right? Well, psychology there are two main heads of the founding of psychology. That's Sigmund Freud, or Freud.
Freud is correct. Freud.
And then Carl Jung. Well, we ended up going off of Sigmund's model. That's what gets pushed now. Sigmund's model is basically focus on the trauma and unconscious mind and repression of traumatic memories, and constantly live in this relive your trauma, talk about your trauma. You always have to talk about it. You always have to don't forget it ever happened. You have to keep living it almost, because his model was all based off of ultimately making money.
Yeah.
Whereas Carl Jung's was literally, he was more of like analytical, kind of like a psychology, where it was all really about self-discovery, figure out the archetypes of yourself and where you fit in that. And then, acknowledge that you went through something bad, but the whole point was to journey yourself toward like a personal wholeness and focus on the future. Don't focus on the past. You can't change that. You can only change the future. Now, granted, you're going to see some of Carl Jung's work mixed into some of the psychology and then therapists and, psychiatric work that's out there. However, he is not, his stuff is only lightly implemented in. They mainly put in all of Sigmund's crap. And if they had modeled it more off of Carl Jung's or whatever, and pushed his, well, if that was the main backbone, people would not be seeing a therapist all the time. Because What, you gonna talk to someone the rest of your fucking life?
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
so that's what they want you to do,
And
right?
listen, I've been to a psychologist. I'll openly admit that. I've been to therapy. I've done that. I put in time. And guess what? The ultimate thing was at the end. It's like, why are we talking still? All I'm doing is keeping myself in the same fucking place. That's all it was. So I was like, yeah, we talked about it. I understand myself better. Now I know, since I've acquired a tool set, you could say, but then also a self-awareness of myself. Fuck this. I'm moving forward. It was that simple.
Yeah.
You know, and I say simple. Everyone's journey is different, but I'm just making a point. So it's just like, since we follow since we're all of our shit is basically around Sigmund Freud's model for the most part. It's all about staying in this place.
Speak for yourself, big dog.
So,
I try my best not to follow Freud because of that whole concept of
I'm talking about the mainstream.
stick in one location and don't branch. Like, oh, you got beat up when you were a kid and it's embarrassing. Stick with that. Embrace that. Why did that happen to you? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck that, dude. Move on.
Yeah.
As you just said. That's why I'm a big fan of Stoicism.
Mm-hmm.
Stoicism is a way to really get past certain aspects of your life and understanding the consequences don't mean shit.
You know where that came from?
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius.
And also Carl Jung or whatever. He pushes that. He talks about
Marcus Aurelius, the Roman
I know,
Greek
but
philosopher.
that's what he was pulling from as well.
Yeah, Stoicism is like the best thing in the world. I have a tattoo on my thigh
So you
here.
follow the Carl Jung model.
I follow the
That's
Marcus
really what it
Aurelius
is.
model.
I know, but it was he pulled influence from it.
Don't you tell me.
I'm telling
you tell me, dude. I'm
telling you how to feel right
But yeah,
now.
so I'm a big fan of Stoicism. There's a phrase there, memento mori, right? Memento mori strictly means that you're going to die.
Really?
Yeah, memento mori. You're going to die. Why fucking worry about it?
Yeah, why worry about it, bro?
You're going to die. Who cares? You peed your pants in middle school. Who gives a shit? You're going to
People don't
die
forget.
anyway.
People don't forget.
They will never forget. You'll be pee pants boy forever. Embrace it.
But anyways, keep going.
R.A. Cisco in the chat here says, in 2020, fentanyl killed more 20 and 40-year-olds than the C word did.
No shit.
That's a lot of deaths, dude.
I know that the numbers have been high.
That's a lot of deaths. Fentanyl is a serious, serious problem.
Yeah, it is.
I have become a big fan of how they're handling, how Homan is handling getting these people out of our country and how they're getting them away. But I don't know how they are stopping the transfer of drugs.
Yeah.
I don't know if that number has gone down, if the usage of fentanyl has gone down in our country once they've started deporting all these people.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a correlation? I know there was more than likely a causation.
Yeah.
But is there a correlation in the use of it now that there's less of them here, or it's harder for them to get in? I would like to see that study.
Yeah, I would want to see it too.
And there hasn't been much talk about it in the news because I like to watch these state speeches with Carolyn Levitt.
Yeah.
But they don't really talk about the use of fentanyl and drugs being down and all these things. They just talk about the people being deported and less immigrants being brought in. Like, yeah, cool, whatever. Well, let's talk about something else too, right?
There's another thing to do with on the fentanyl subject, right? Now this is going to kind of cross it into a couple of different things because where drugs are made in general, right?
We're fentanyl boys over here.
If fentanyl's being made in, like, let's say some type of laboratory, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it's being made in a pharmaceutical lab to some degree. Well, I know that. Oh, we got a call.
We got a caller coming in.
Yeah, we do. Let's go ahead and answer that. 1 second.
Call from
Jerry.
Oh, it's fucking
to
Jerry.
accept, press
Hang up.
1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
No, we're gonna take this. What's up, Jerry?
Who is this?
What's up, Jerry?
What's
You're live
going on,
with
fellas?
us.
This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jerry himself.
How dare you,
How
Jerry?
dare you? How dare you, Jerry? So what's up, Jerry? Do I have to tell you to fuck
I'm just
off
saying,
already?
this is
Because we
Cody.
say fuck Jerry here. Oh, sorry. What was that?
Now this is Cody.
Oh, my boy.
Cody!
I had a hunch that this was you, Cody. I did because you
First
didn't sound
time.
like Ryan. First timer, yes.
I know it. First
Oh, my
time
goodness.
calling in. How you fellas doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing fantastic, sir. How are you?
Long time no talk, Cody. It's good to hear your voice.
I know it's good to hear from y'all too. I've kind of been out of the social sphere for a while, but you know, I'm glad to get back in, and lucky enough I was able to see you guys live, so I hopped in and talking about a good topic too, and one that I'm actually pretty familiar with. Like growing up, I actually grew up with around a psychologist and in and out of psychiatric therapy, and I was more or less a guinea pig for all the pharmaceuticals that were coming out, whether they were antidepressants, whether they were stimulants, like Adderall, stuff like that. I was kind of the guinea pig for it. And one important thing that I learned, early on, and I'm glad I did, was that no matter what they gave you, you were still ultimately in control of the outcome of it, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So no matter where your life goes to, you were the ultimate maker in that. You decide whether it's going to be good or whether it's going to be bad.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Cody. I'm sorry that you happen to be a guinea pig for the psychological effects and everything that happened to you potentially with these drugs that you were taking. Have you noticed any side effects in your adult life or anything that's happened to you? And are you still on any medication, if you care to share?
No, I'm not on any medication anymore. And side effects wise, no. I mean, I don't notice any in my adult life. I stopped taking them, I would say around 16, 17, kind of when I was old enough to make my own decisions. But I will say that, the method that you guys were talking about, I forget his name, but where you always bring it up.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud.
Something that, so that's something that didn't help me, because even into my adult life, when I, dabbled into drugs for, quite a few years, and I decided to get clean and to, go down a different path. One thing that really helped me was that I didn't talk about it. I changed up my place, my people, things that I did, and I forgot about it. I left it in the past, and that's what helped me heal. So.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And what you did was the best thing you could have done, because when on Sigmund Freud's model and the things that they do now, where everyone where you have to always see a therapist, you have to always talk about your problems, you have to talk about your life, like all this crap. All it does is that if you're constantly talking about it, well, then you're constantly living it. You can never move on from it because it's always a narrative. And so you end up being stuck in this just endless loop. And so I'm really happy that you said F that. I'm moving the fuck on.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's very important to understand where you're failing and how you can grow, right? It takes a really strong person to be able to say, "Hey, I have fucked up. I need to fix myself now," and go on from there. And yeah, cheers to you, bud. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The main principle in all that is that you have to find purpose for yourself before anything else. Before whether you kick the antidepressants or whether you're on hard drugs, whatever it is, you have to find purpose, to get better and to want better for yourself, to make that achievable and to make it long lasting. So,
and it's fair to say that America has absolutely dropped the ball on its citizens for drug addiction. They want us to be fed these things for a cure-all, and then they don't have any way to remedy that other than paying exuberant amount of money in a rehab facility based around insurance. So being able to fight any sort of addiction, may it be marijuana, may it be something even harder like alcohol or something else, it takes a really strong person to understand that you're
exactly.
failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna
because when you're in the system, it's a revolving door. Take heroin, for example. You go to kick heroin, what do they give you? They give you Suboxone.
That's right.
It's a revolving door effect, and until you finally break free of those chains, you're always going to be caught in the system of making somebody else wealthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, without a doubt. And to just back up a couple steps real quick, I'm gonna bring up the whole antidepressant stuff, because I can tell you right now, so with people in general who are taking antidepressants at the moment, I personally know a handful of people. I grew up with, siblings and stuff that were on it. I was on it at one point in time in my younger years, like how you were saying you were kind of like guinea pig. I can relate to that because I kind of was through my teenage years. They were randomly changing out medications on me, especially things like Adderall and crap like that. And I was on an antidepressant at one point in time when I was like 18 or whatever. And this is what opened my eyes to it because basically my, close friends of mine all basically had this like intervention with me about getting off of the antidepressants because they said it changed me. And it wasn't like, oh, this person's less stressed now. It was if nothing mattered. I felt nothing. And that was the thing. Like and that's a common side effect because obviously that was a long time ago. That was like over 15, it was like 20 years ago or whatever. And I can tell you right now, ever since then, and I stopped taking antidepressants back, 20 years ago, and I have dug so much into it and research into it, and I've studied so much psychology and shit that it's gotten to the point where I've come to learn that antidepressants, when you take them, people are dealing with it still right now, where you get on an antidepressant and it's like, yeah, your anxiety and stress all of a sudden starts to disappear a little bit. But then you notice these, that person, if you're close to that person and you're around them, you see that they're not the same person anymore. And I'm talking about on a deep fundamental level. It's like they're a shell. And because they don't feel anything. They don't really feel anything in a lot of ways when they're heavily dosed and they're on it and it's really in their system. And every person that I've known personally, that was close to me, that never got off antidepressants, well, I can tell you one thing that is a solid, like without or irrefutable fact. They are all dead now. They all committed suicide. All of them. And it was because what it does to your brain and the mixture of chemicals and the long-term effect of how it morphs and manipulates your brain and the chemicals that you naturally produce. So it's just like, I'm really happy that you are where you're at now, man. Like,
Cody, thank you so much
absolutely.
thank you so much for calling in as well. It's awesome of you.
yeah, I'm happy you called in. Do you have anything else that's been on your mind, like when it comes to like, like drugs and like any kind of like epidemic or anything of that nature?
No, really. I mean, when it comes to terms of drugs and antidepressants and all of that, me personally, like if somebody feels like it's helping them, then by all means do what you feel is best for you. But for me in my path, what helped me the most was coming to the realization that, what I'm feeling, I need to feel and I need to learn how to deal with. Like just because you take an antidepressant doesn't mean you're fixing the problem. It's kind of like your car has a check engine light on and you go unplug the fuse that shows the check engine light. You didn't really fix anything. You kind of just, you're not seeing that light anymore. So
Yeah. And
I mean, that's definitely my biggest takeaway, and that, sometimes, you don't always need a medication to fix anything. If you have something going on, sometimes just having somebody around, can be the most beneficial. That's one thing I learned in my adult life I didn't understand when I was a kid, because I went to counseling 2 days a week for 15 years. So, and then later on in life, I realized that the biggest help to me was that somebody was just there. Even though, I never talked to this man for years. I would go do my 30-minute sessions in silence, but it was the fact that somebody was there and I knew that he was there if I wanted to talk. So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because that's actually what I was about to say, because we're like basically one thing I've learned and, from studying and then living through the shit myself, in relation to this is that if you're wanting to deal with depression and, and get out of that and not be stuck in a loop where you're getting pumped with some type of fucking drug, the only real solution is to have an actual support system. Like have someone there. Like even if they're not with you at all times, but someone is actually there and has your back. Like someone who will be an anchor. And then on top of that is like, your daily routines, like what, like, getting sunlight every day, actually being active and doing shit and living your fucking life, that kills depression like heavily. And anything that, and a lot of people say like, they're like, oh, but what if you're in such a deep place and it's so hard to like get off the couch or like get out of bed to go do that? And it's just like, well, everyone's got to start somewhere. And the first step is always the hardest, but it's like that's why you have to have someone there who's an anchor, who's gonna have your back and like force you to get out of that fucking bed and be like, yeah, you can get mad at me all you want, but get the fuck out. Like, unless you want to be
One
stuck
foot
on.
in front of the other.
Yeah, no shit.
And that's
But
all
man,
it takes. I mean,
yeah,
it really does. I mean, it really just takes, somebody just starting that path and having a good support system, and then also having a support system that, maybe tells you the things you don't want to hear. That's really important too, is having somebody in your corner that, doesn't always gaslight you and just tell you everything you want to hear, but, actually being truthful with you and telling the things that you need to hear and, trying to help you out. So I appreciate you guys taking my call.
yeah.
If this number is recorded, on your guys' end, you guys have my phone number. Feel free to text me, call me, anytime you guys go live. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Hell
Absolutely,
yeah.
Cody's
Plus, you know what, man? I was gonna tell you before we hang up, I'm gonna send you some Smartly and Educated merch because we got some Smartly.
Oh man, I would love that.
I'm gonna send it to you because you were like the one person that me and Evan have actually talked about this. I was like, we gotta send him something because you are the sole reason that our X account even got any form of traction. I know we're still on the lower end for followers, but it doesn't matter. Like, you got us into some groups with some people, and just out of nowhere, for no reason, we never even spoke before. So like, I've always felt like a level of debt that we owe you. Like,
no, not at all. I mean, it's like I would listen to you guys on Spotify, and then when I seen that you guys were on X, like, I was so giddy about it. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, they're an awesome podcast to listen to. I was like, I'm so great to have them on here because they cover a lot of really good topics that not a lot of people talk about. So
yeah.
So no, I was really just to help. Really glad just to help you guys out and try to help you get some traction. I mean, the whole X vibe and the social media sphere in itself is kind of a game you gotta juggle along with life itself, but
yeah,
you
we're
guys
not the
will
best at it.
keep picking up traction. But no, I have no doubt in my mind you guys will keep growing and go on to do big things, and who knows, be like Joe Rogan one day and be billionaires, and I can be
cool.
rolling up in a Bentley with you guys.
We're gonna be way cooler than Rogan.
Dude,
Don't worry.
if we go big like that, dude, we're bringing you with. Just by
Yeah,
proxy.
there you go.
Just by proxy. But anyways, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. We love the shit out of you.
We're live every Friday, Cody.
Yep,
Give us
every
a call.
Friday. Every Friday. All right, man. Well, we'll let you go, and thank you for calling in.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good night.
You
Later.
too. That was awesome.
I think there's a lot of good touch points here.
Yeah.
For things we talked about, right? Like, it's important to find the group of people that you can immediately find gratitude in. I think we touched on it briefly as well when it comes down to really finding a hobby or a group that you can be a part of that isn't associated with the issue that you have.
Yeah.
May it be antidepressants, may it be heroin or smoking weed or drinking. If you want to be done with this expensive hobby that you have, or addiction, you got to move on.
Yep.
And the fact that the quote unquote war on drugs is still happening in America, and you can just go to any major street. I mean, I'm sure you've seen videos on the internet of people just slumped over, bent in half on these horrible opioid drugs.
Yeah.
Those are literally killing thousands of people a day.
Yeah.
And it all stems from typically one time you have an accident. You get in a car accident, and then they give you pain pills to calm your broken leg. And now your body becomes so dependent on it that you go to heroin. And then heroin stops doing it for you. You can't find it. So then you go to the next thing, fentanyl. It's a roller coaster of an effect here. Now, granted, I didn't mean for the show to become a psychological therapy session to be able to move past things, but I'm glad it did because it shines a light on the entire dichotomy and the world around these substance abuses, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's in movies and in music, it's very brought to light that it's a good thing, fun thing. You see in John Wick, there's people in nightclubs dancing and doing cocaine.
Hell yeah,
You
dude.
see people in movies who are doing drugs and having a great old time, but there's a really deep, dark underbelly of all this
Yeah.
that people don't tend to shine a light to very often, and that it's important to bring a light to that because it is a huge, huge problem. There are studies nowadays that show that meth, Adderall, and all these different amphetamines, if you do not use, if you're not meant to use it, it will create schizophrenia within your brain.
You know, I'm glad you bring that up.
There are so many detrimental things to doing this. It's very dangerous.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I was exactly about to bring up because you brought up Hollywood movies.
yeah.
And I was about to interject, but then I stopped because I was letting you finish. But then you said it. You said schizophrenia.
That's called
Yeah.
a podcast, buddy.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
That's called
I
conversation.
was trying to be nice and shit and be like, oh, I'm not going to interrupt him today. But no. So so Evan brought up schizophrenia. So I want to say what schizophrenia really is because Hollywood misportrays
Yes, big time.
schizophrenia. They always portray it. Now, there are some movies that they somewhat portray schizophrenia correctly. But most of them they don't. They always kind of make it seem like it's like multiple personalities and like all this crap. It's not. That's not what schizophrenia is. It's literally a chronic brain disorder that just affects how a person thinks, feels, and just behaves. That's it. It's not multi personalities. It's nothing like that.
It can be.
Not so much.
I mean,
That's multiple personality disorder. It's very different.
There's a lot of writings in medical journals of people who have schizophrenia who hear just noise, and that's the voices, right?
I'm glad you bring that up because I know what you're referencing. There's a lot of material out there, but all that's outdated. That is from pre-1995.
Okay.
After 1995, they realized they were mixing two different conditions together. There's like sub-conditions within it. So they realized that schizophrenia, if you isolate it, it's literally, and I made sure to pull it up so I could read it so I didn't fuck up verbatim off the top of my head. But like schizophrenia itself, so they break it into positive systems, negative systems, and then cognitive systems. Hallucinations, delusions, like basically like paranoia, belief in someone is watching, whatever. Disorganized, behavior to lifestyle. The negative, now those are the three. And then you've got negative symptoms, and you've got something called a flat effect. So it's like no emotion in speech or face. Just wall. And then you've got lack of motivation, social withdrawal, where you can't handle just even, like me and you just sitting here. It's just two of us. Someone who's schizophrenic more than likely would not even be able to handle a one-on-one conversation.
I hate this.
Oh shit! And then the last is like, and then you've got like cognitive symptoms, which is basically like a poor kind of executive function. So like trouble planning type thing, right? Or trouble focusing, or paying attention, all these crap, memory issues.
But this
shit, I might be schizophrenic.
But this all stems from the concept that ADHD is a real thing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it's more of it lines a lot with schizophrenia. In a lot of ways.
ADHD isn't the concept around attentive deficit hyperactive disorder. Fuck, I butchered that. Around the ADHD concept, studies are coming out nowadays with more like holistic scientists saying that ADHD isn't a real thing. That is brought on because they're putting children in classrooms who these children need to go out and do things, and they can't sit still for 8 hours. That will cause you to have deficit hyperactive disorder, and then they give you meth to calm you down.
Pharmaceutical meth, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is one molecule off from actual meth.
Correct.
Basically.
So yeah, they give you Adderall, and then boom, now you are hyper focused, and then these will cause these paranoia, delusional thoughts as you get older and as you use it more and more. That's where that's where the study lies, right? So I became sort of really interested in that concept because schizophrenia seems to be coming around really more frequently in the news and on the internet, and it seems to be a very regular thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people are freaking out nowadays, seeing things in the skies on TikTok, and they're filming it, talking about it. You see people who just can't keep anything together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I find it very funny a moment ago that you said, "Oh no, I think I'm schizophrenic." I swear this is not about you.
I know. I was just making a joke. I didn't line up with most of half of that.
It's just like I find it all very fascinating, right?
This is why you don't WebMD yourself when you're not feeling well.
I find it all very fascinating,
Shit,
right?
I have AIDS.
Like there was a
I didn't fuck a monkey.
there was a study that was released about meth and schizophrenia and how they link together, because meth creates a psychosis, and then if you have a psychosis already, it becomes really exacerbated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in order to bring on that exacerbation, don't make a silly joke.
All right.
Not to bring on that hyper influence.
You're gonna get that exacerbation from the masturbation, bro.
I was really trying to avoid that. But if you bring on the hyper focusing of the schizophrenia by a child who shouldn't have it, because there's a timeline to where every person goes through potentially having schizophrenia, right?
Technically.
Yeah, so I think it's like 25 to 37. There's
Late teens. It's usually like late teens to early 30s. That's where the onset normally happens.
So that's where the area goes into, boom, you have schizophrenia. But if you're not going to have it, and they give you Adderall or methamphetamines, then you are far more susceptible to getting schizophrenia. And now schizophrenia, holy cow, is able to be used more insightful to be able to do astral projecting. And you're able to be able to...
Whoa. Repeat that one more time.
Yes.
Back that up. Back that up like a couple minutes.
Yeah, so
Not even a couple minutes. Sorry, back it up 30 seconds.
So schizophrenia and all these schizophrenic patients are able to do astral projecting and out-of-body experiences significantly faster and better, because they can experience other sounds and other wavelengths because they're already experiencing all that stuff, right? Which is fucking crazy.
Fuck. It's a good thing I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that, dude. Dude, sometimes I look at things in my mind and I just run a movie reel.
Let me do this. Let me get this out. Is this all associated with the CIA to find the children in the MK Ultra fucking databases with the GATE program?
Oh shit, we took a hard turn from Lost Battle on Drugs to...
Is it? So that is where my brain went, because we've talked about the GATE project and astral projecting for the past 4 episodes.
Oh yeah.
So that's where my brain immediately runs to, because it's like, okay, they have meth. Now they have baby meth. Now they have babies taking meth. Now they have schizophrenia patients are able to astral project and see things. Holy shit. Are they trying to find crazy people to talk to aliens?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually get where
am I schizophrenic?
Well, we already know that there is an agenda with, pharmaceutical, we already know that the reason they push so much heavy pharmaceutical drugs and all these things, because they're making fuckloads of money.
Oh, astronomical.
And we already know that, it's been coming more and more to light and transparent, and people are becoming more aware that pharmaceutical, big pharma is only in place because there is obviously something to do with culling the herd. You got to cull the herd. And we already know that's happening on a large fucking scale. So yes, like your train of thought, I actually get why you're going to there.
It's not far off, is it?
No, it's not. It's in the same fucking wheelhouse.
Yeah.
My name is Ben, and I'm a schizophrenic.
My name is Evan, and I'm schizophrenic.
And not to make fun of anyone who has that, but
Yes, it is.
But the thing is, well, let me say something about schizophrenia though, because before we bring up the whole meth into it, methamphetamines of any kind, but we talked about the onset, right? Like late teens to early 30s. Well, these usually caused by a combination of things of why this shit onsets, right? And this is from their studies. This is what they've been trying to figure out, like what is onsetting it, right? Or causing it, really. And the first and foremost, the biggest one is genetics.
Yeah, so it's
genetic vulnerability.
Hold on, it's 15 to 25 years old in men and 25 to 35 in women.
Wait, repeat that one more time. You did it really fast.
And for men, it's 15 to 25 years old. For women, it's 25 to 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta go have a talk with my wife. Listen, you schizophrenic woman.
You schizophrenic loony bin.
Just kidding. My wife's awesome. She's gonna punch me in the dick is what she's gonna do. But no, it's just like, so you've got genetic vulnerability is the number one. That is the real big one that really carries across a lot of different case studies. But that's usually like your family history, all that crap. But the other two is environmental stressors and basically a chemical imbalance in the brain. So like, for instance, the number one is a dopamine dysregulation. So if you don't produce dopamine,
It's full circle, ain't it?
yeah, no, it is full circle. Like, I already knew this about this. And that's why, like, for instance, I have no problem. Who knows this? Like, I have a prescription for Adderall, right? Because I've gotten tested. If we were doing a podcast right now, because I'm quite into the autistic spectrum, if me and you, if there was more than one person in here, like, and even if it was someone we knew, I would be a different person because I don't know how to comprehend it. Like, it's too much. But I have to be comfortable, right? The whole
Much like a phone call with Cody.
yeah, dude, but I love that though. I've been dying to talk to Cody. I didn't even want you
too.
here anymore. I was like, get the
I
fuck
know.
out of here.
I just shut up and sat here. like an
Me and
idiot.
Cody are doing this podcast. But the thing is that like, everyone, it's sorry, I brought up the dopamine dysregulation. So there has been a rise in not even just children, but adults as well, of basically people finding out, like, within the past 15 years, there has been a wild, I don't know what the number was off the top of my head, so I'm not going to say it and be misquoted, but it's a wild, insane jump in people that were tested for like their dopamine levels, things like that, showing that their brain is not properly producing it. And you know what? They started doing studies between electronics, like, having a fucking phone, a screen in your damn face all the time, and getting that stimulation. That not only because of the different current, frequencies and things like that are already emitting off of your fucking phone that do affect your brain. Apparently, they are related. And that's what it's kind of looking like. That's why we had this jump in like the past 15, 20 years, is because, well, we've been having screens more and more in our faces, more and more. And now it's like you go anywhere, like everyone's, dude, I was parked the other day at a Walmart. I was about to go inside. And dude, I was watching the people walk inside.
None of them were there.
I need to call my doctor. The meds ain't working. Then I took my other medication and they were there. Now I don't know if I'm just alone on the planet or they're just or maybe they're imaginary.
I'm not really here, Ben.
Fuck. Dude, I'm jumping between cameras with a wig on, like a body mask.
A beard on.
Yeah, like just throwing it on there, but no, it made me lose my spot. I was actually on this.
You were sitting in a parking lot watching people go inside.
I was watching people go inside. Not a single damn person was looking upwards.
Yeah.
They're all looking at their fucking phones. Bunch of fucking zombies. Like, I see the relation, because if you're getting like, that's why like shorts, like if you look at what the analytics and the algorithms on why shorts have to be made a certain way, they have to be fast, cut it up like Opus clips, play things like that make these like super quick edited shorts to where there's not like a one Mississippi between the next word. It's like fast go, like we need constant stimulation at a higher rate of speed for a higher rate of intake, because that's what people are starting to become, because they have no attention span. They can't, they're literally drawn in, and it plays right into all of it. So it's just like, yeah, like it's really, really fucking bad what things have become, because that is 100% directly related to all of with schizophrenia in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So schizophrenia has been on the rise because of drug use and because of, okay, let me rephrase what drug use is, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily a substance. It can be anything that brings you pleasure. You can be addicted to self-pleasure. You can be, that can be your drug. You can have coffee. You can have an addiction to eating styrofoam. I'm sure you've seen those, my weird addiction videos on THC or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
A THC is a drug. TLC is what I'm talking about.
Tender love and care. Okay.
But being addicted to your phone is a very common drug these days. I, for one, am guilty of it. I myself find myself doom scrolling, like, oh my God, what's next? Oh, I gotta fucking throw this phone across the room. I can't be doing this. I am guilty of it myself. So that would drain your dopamine. Watching a movie becomes too difficult because you're not getting that dopamine hit like you're used to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This will cause you to want to seek out a drug. Maybe cocaine, heroin, antidepressants, and that will all lead to you having schizophrenia because then now it's all a cycle. And I do believe the conspiracy brain individual inside of me believes that they're giving us these fast, casual, fast concept medias because they're preparing us to have implant devices for us to always have media, always have information at all times. I mean, we all know that there's Neuralink, right? I think this is just the first step.
There's always a stepping stone.
I think these phones are the first step to becoming really, really intertwined into AI and technology.
Yeah. Well, can I back us up real quick?
Our children's children will be so intertwined with
I'm
technology.
gonna have to erase my whole bloodline.
We're
before
not
that's
going to know
possible. Wait,
who's
what?
human.
That's bad.
Whoa.
Whoa. No, to back it up real quick, to basically, to the dopamine aspect of things. What did Cody just say? Probe me, papi. Hell yeah, brother. I got you. We're going to do some probing. I'll tell you what. We're going to wait for Evan to go away. And probing time, baby. Anyways,
Hey,
so...
Can I just change gears for just one moment?
No, I
'Cause
need
you
to
just-
say this because
okay,
it has
out
to
of
do
you.
with the dopamine. And I think it's important. I'm going to ask you a question. And this has to do with taking any form of stimulant, right? Like meth. Let's use meth as an example. And it doesn't matter if it's pharmaceutical or just methamphetamine. Street meth, dude. I get it pure.
I grow mine in the garden.
Shit. Don't mind the trailer that's buried beneath.
Walter, you got to come out of there.
But no, so let's say that. How much dopamine, what level of dopamine do you think meth releases?
Probably a very little amount.
No, very wrong. If you had to guess, how
How
many times the normal production? does it
Are we doing on milligrams, grams, percentage? What are we doing here?
Times, like times X, right?
100.
1,000.
God, fuck me. That's crazy.
Yep, meth releases up to 1,000 times
How much does a
the
cigarette give
normal
you?
level of dopamine.
How much does a cigarette give you?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
Okay.
You have to look it up. But get this. So it raised 1,000 times the amount. And over time, obviously, we already know this, and this has this same rule that goes for street meth and for pharmaceutical methamphetamines or amphetamines, which is like Adderall, things like that. The brain becomes 100% dependent on it. It literally does, especially if you take it over course of time. So if you took it for, let's say,
I got a cool chart here.
oh, sorry, you go ahead. Real
Yeah,
quick.
so methamphetamines is 1,000% increase in dopamine immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Nicotine is a 245% increase immediately. Cocaine is 350 immediately, and morphine is 200.
Mm-hmm.
So putting all those into perspective, right?
Morphine's awesome, though.
Holy shit. People are addicted to nicotine. People are addicted to methamphetamine.
I have a family. Hey, I can actually speak on this. You know, the morphine. Like you brought up morphine. Sorry, and I'm gonna keep it very short. But like I have a family member. I don't know if I haven't talked to him in several years, but he had a morphine addiction.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was the only thing.
That sounds like a World War II
Yeah,
addiction.
it was. He had a messed up childhood. I can say that. I know firsthand. But I can tell you right now, it's because he didn't know how to. He never could have a happy feeling, essentially. He never could get that state that, like, you know, someone who has a healthy mind, you know, healthy lifestyle, things like that, could have.
He's weak.
He's weak. But no, so like he got, you know, he had a morphine addiction, man. And I can tell you right now, when he took morphine, and there's a couple times I saw him take Adderall, and some other, you know, variation of Vyvanse or whatever. I think that's another one. Vyvanse is another alternative to Adderall. He took Adderall, but it didn't fit the bill for him because morphine does something, you know, even though it didn't release as much dopamine, there was other things that came with the morphine.
Yeah,
you know.
it'd knock you on your ass.
It didn't him.
Anyway.
He was a productive guy.
Anyway.
But yeah. So anyways, I just want to bring that up because I actually know a bit about that part. But let's stick with what we were talking about. Sorry. You were about to say something.
Oh yeah, I was going to switch gears real quick.
Oh yeah, go
just
ahead.
to give you something that I found very interesting that happened within the U.S. government that I know that you'll like, and Ashton Forbes also likes.
Oh, is this like a full shift from the topic?
Full entire shit.
Okay, well, I'm timing you so we can keep on point. 'Cause we got 93 people
I know.
watching.
Hello,
right now.
everybody. How's everybody
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
The White House officials of science and technology, policy director Michael Kratosis, officially said today that our technologies are permitting us to manipulate time and space.
But wait, didn't he say that? Wasn't there an announcement about that?
Yeah.
You know, like a couple weeks ago.
No, it was just this morning.
There was one that happened a couple weeks ago, bro.
Well, it happened.
Where he said that we have technology.
Wait, that was April 16th, not May 16th.
Oh, yeah, I was say okay.
Yeah, it was last month.
Okay, yeah. I say a couple weeks, but I knew it already happened.
Yeah, so I mean, well, I figured
Yeah.
you'd find that interesting.
No, it is.
And that really ties into a lot of the Fibonacci spiral sequencing and teleportations, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, that's all I wanted to bring up to you because I know
Oh.
that you like that shit a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, no, the science behind it is fascinating.
It's amazing,
If it's
truly.
really happening. Let's sidestep back to what we were talking about. So we were talking about schizophrenia. We were on the schizophrenia topic, and then I was talking about like the methamphetamines, right?
Yeah.
Meth in general. I want to say this because if you anyone listening, if you've never heard what methamphetamines really are,
Also, I think we haven't said this yet in the show.
go ahead.
Do not do drugs.
Yeah, don't do drugs.
They're not good for you. Go read a book. Go pet a dog. Go outside. Go call your family. If you don't have any, call a friend. Like, don't do drugs. Yeah.
Okay,
They're
now
not
that
good.
you've made that PSA,
Yeah.
I'd like to make my own. If you guys want a list of drugs that you should take that are a lot of fun, but non-habit forming, send us an email at smartlyuneducated.com. Or sorry, smartlyuneducated@gmail.com. That's right. We'll send you a list. And it will say,
I don't want to be
I'm not gonna
associated with
say
that.
I'm just kidding. I'll send you the fun ones. I got you. Anyways. But no, Evan was correct. Don't be doing these hard fucking drugs. You're just gonna ruin your fucking life. I have no problem. There is one drug that they consider a drug. I don't consider it a drug because it naturally is a part of the earth.
Mushrooms.
That and weed.
Yeah.
I don't consider weed a drug.
Well, they're both habit forming.
Everyone can form a habit on anything. I think it's
that-
dumb.
that
to
is
make
that is what
up.
I was arguing about earlier as well.
I know.
right?
I think it's dumb when they say that, well, it's a habit forming. Everything's habit forming. Well, if they're worried about building a habit, they should be really talking about this bullshit. Because this is the worst drug anyone could fucking take right now that affects little children. Like, for instance, my own kids, they've got iPads. I control their shit.
Yeah.
I don't let them be on for longer than a certain period of time each day. And during the school week, they're getting 1 hour. Other than that, they better be playing outside, drawing, doing something that's actually going to build something in their brain, some type of positive, development compared to staring at a stupid fucking screen.
Yeah.
And I say this, and we look at screens.
Yeah, we have a lot of them in
But
front of
I'm
us
an
right now.
adult. I'm an adult, and I know how to walk away, though, right? So, but no, it's just sorry, I lost where I was going.
Whoa.
No, weed.
I'm over
Weed.
here stuttering, dude.
I don't consider weed a drug. I think anyone, if it grows, don't get me wrong, there are certain things that grow naturally here on the earth you shouldn't be taking because they'll probably fucking kill you.
like opioids, like opium. Opium grows naturally.
I've never done opium. That's on my bucket list. I'm gonna wait until I'm retired. Retired. I'm gonna wait until I'm retired and I'm
Much like me
close to
wanting-
my deathbed.
Much like me wanting to try
You know?
ether. I think that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, no shit.
Smell a rag and get drunk
But no,
immediately.
let's
But
talk-
anyway,
let's
don't do drugs, kids.
Let's talk. Let's really get into the whole methamphetamine and the schizophrenia relation here, because. Oh, and what I was gonna say earlier, and we're back on track now. So with methamphetamines, if you do not know what a methamphetamine actually is, let me tell you. If you don't, it's a extremely addictive stimulant, and it directly affects, well, the central nervous system, And it's just it literally just causes a giant, powerful dopamine surge,
Yeah.
essentially, and basically creating intense euphoria, energy, confidence. Like you can conquer
Focus.
the fucking world. Focus, the works. Now, focus not for everyone. I've noticed in some of the case studies, focus was, don't get me wrong, it's there heavily, but at the same time, depending on the person who's taking that methamphetamine, whether it's pharmaceutical grade or street grade, that results vary. All right. But the thing is that's all it does. That's what methamphetamine is. That's what it does. Now, we were saying earlier, so I had said that meth releases up to 1,000 times the normal level of dopamine, and what it does is it blocks your natural dopamine reuptake in your brain, and then it floods your brain with all the feel good shit, all the feel good chemicals, right? Because it basically takes what you already have, mixing it with its own, right? With what it does to your central nervous system, and you just have a dopamine dump. That's all it is. Not a poo dump, not a big old flaming dragon. We're talking, chocolate dragon here. We're talking a dopamine poop. That's what it is. But the thing is, over time, like I was saying earlier, you become extremely dependent on it. And in fact, it damages your dopamine receptors so badly.
Let's keep
that
in
you may not
mind
be able to
here,
come back.
real quick. Hitler had their soldiers, the Nazis, all hyped up on methamphetamine. Let's keep that in mind real quick right here.
Oh, Cody, yeah.
Yeah.
He just said methamphetamine, aka the Superman drug, 100% spot on you are, sir. And then you also said, you put it in the chat, so I'm going to read it. Said I smoked meth and took apart my lawnmower, then forgot how to put it back together when I was sober.
That's fucking hilarious, though.
I mean, you better take some more meth, bro. You got to put that shit back together. You're spending some money.
I can figure this out now. I can do it now.
Holy shit. That's why you need to just stick, don't be doing the smoking meth or injecting meth. Just do the pharmaceutical meth. You'll still remember how to put it back together when you're sober. With that, for the most part. But no, it's funny you say that. You're bringing up call it the Superman drug, because that's 100% accurate. But this is why, and I talk about how it can damage your dopamine receptors and you become dependent on it, over time. Well, the thing is that this is why I've actually said it to my, Evan here, numerous times.
My Evan.
I almost said co-host.
My Evan.
You are my Evan.
You don't.
I don't know any other Evans.
You don't own me.
I do, in a way that may surprise you and the listeners.
Wait, what?
Yeah, dude. Anyways, so STDs are still a very dangerous thing to contract to your body. So,
I hate that is associated with this. I don't like that is how you know.
No. Anyways, but no, I've said this to Evan numerous times. I've actually said it to other people. I have another friend. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he would want me to name drop him. But he actually was considering trying to, basically get a prescription for Adderall. And I had some hard advice for him. I told him straight up, I said, figure out an alternative. Don't. Unless you go and actually get tested, do the test where they actually scan your brain and do all these things and test the chemical production in your brain. Because if you're someone who's never done any kind of methamphetamine or amphetamine before, and your brain produces proper dopamine levels, like it actually produces the exact amount of chemical production it's supposed to, don't fucking do it. You don't need it. And on top of that, when you get scanned, you're going to see a bunch of other things, and you'll learn you don't need it at all. It's just you're either undisciplined or you have other things going on. Maybe your diet's fucking with you. Maybe the fact that you're not active enough. Maybe you're just dealing with a job where you work all the fucking time and you're all wildly stressed out and full of anxiety, and you just don't know how to fucking basically navigate your own brain anymore. That happens. That's a part of life. But everyone's, has defaulted to take this pill. You'll feel better.
That's exactly right. Oh, how professional.
I don't know who that is. Anyway, sorry. But no, it's just, he was considering taking it. And I told him the same thing. I said, dude, because he knew I had a prescription, right? And I take it. And I told him, I said, the only reason I take it is because ever since I was a child, I got tested, not with a written test. They actually did fucking shit on my brain, all this crap. And my brain did not produce dopamine at all. That's why I was like a weird kid there in the way early years. I'm talking about like 7, 8, 9 years old. My brain didn't produce
still
that
weird.
shit. Oh, I am weird. Thank you. But the thing is that, especially on the pharmaceutical side of things for like Adderall, all that crap. Well, there are some people who would benefit from taking it, from having that, having that kind of prescription. But you need to go and actually get tested first and like really tested. Not the bullshit, because you could go into a lot of different doctor's offices. Almost every other one you go to, you could easily walk away with a fucking Adderall prescription.
Oh yeah,
It just like, you go to a doctor and say, I am sad. If you go to a doctor, like a urgent care, they'll give you a prescription. They'll give you a small prescription of antidepressants. Just like that. With no precursor.
If you can hear the sound of my
Like-
voice, please reconsider going to get drugs. I know it seems cool and glamorous. Figure something else out.
Yeah, no shit.
It's much more beneficial for you in the long run if you're going to exercise or start eating healthy or something. Reconsider, for the love of God.
Yeah. And, to get this out, though,
You just blow that all over me.
I did, dude. But, with any form of methamphetamine, amphetamine, there are some people who should take it. But even when I take it, this is what I've said to Evan. Sorry, and that was what I was getting to. This is what I've said to Evan here. I've said to my friend who was considering it. Luckily, he did not go through with it. Thank God. But because he did not need it. He was not someone who needed that. But even what I do, and this is what I tell anyone else who takes it. I'm like, well, you better stop taking it every day. I cycle it, and I don't take full doses. I'll go several days without taking it at all.
It's the full bottle at one
Because-
time or nothing.
I don't plan on using it forever. In fact, I haven't taken any in almost a week and a half now.
There you go, big dog.
So it's just like, it's one of those things where you have to know yourself. But in order to know yourself, you have to go get properly tested.
Yeah.
Actually get your brain scanned, see what the fuck's going on. Luckily, I went through all that at a young age, and I went through it again as an adult a few years ago, and I was able to see, like, yeah, I'm still fucked up like I was when I was a kid. Only worse, because if how brain develops. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But the meth and schizophrenia,
Yeah.
because I have stuff I've linked together.
Isn't that whole concept fascinating though?
It is
that-
fascinating.
That it's so onset at 15 years old for men. So they consider giving them these drugs that after years of research, which I forgot to bring up that document, shows that methamphetamines or other drugs bring up.
Is there a document here I can search while you're talking?
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Schizophrenia and methamphetamines.
Okay, I got you.
medical documents. But they've done it for a number of years now. They know that these two link together. One is a causation for the other, and they have medical. I say they. You see like the CDC and you see other different organizations saying that they are not linked together. Like if you Google schizophrenia and methamphetamines, you get the number to a suicide hotline, which is typically that's good that that's there, right? But I mean, they also need to give you the research papers and things of that that as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought over here because Ben's over here browsing the internet.
Oh, I was pulling up I know, some
I know.
documents for you.
So this document here is from
I can pop it up.
psychiatryonline.org. It's about methamphetamine use and schizophrenia, a population-based cohort study in California. This is made in 2012, so
Yeah, it's a bit old.
relatively new. This is method. A population-based cohort study was conducted using data from California patients' hospital discharge records from 1990 through 2000. So this was over 30 years ago now.
Yep.
So this is still relatively new. Would you consider that new?
No, I would consider it old because they've done
Damn,
way
dude,
more
I'm
intrusive
over
studies.
30 years old, bro. It's new.
You can do math, dude. No. But no, there is other information out there. That's just one of the ones I just pulled up real quick.
Yeah, one of the first ones you grabbed.
Yeah,
right?
one of the first ones. Sorry.
With all of that in mind, with the research being so old, I think we have a pretty standard approach on this show and a pretty standard protocol on this show of they don't want you to know shit. They don't want you to understand what's really going on. They want you to be crazy. They want you to be force fed. They want you all these things so that you continue to give them money.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that they can go get a cure at a holistic doctor to cure your depression. Oh, the prescription is going to be go stand in the sun.
Yeah.
And they know that hyper deficit disorder to where your dopamine is so low as a child that you want to go run around and play and jump around and cause jokes and do things. It's because you're a child. Let that kid go be a kid. Stop forcing this kid to have all these fucking drugs shoved down their stomach.
Yeah.
Just to keep them complacent.
Yeah. And well, I can tell you right now that like how meth and schizophrenia link across each other so heavily is because meth causes nothing but like schizophrenia
Psychosis.
like symptoms. Yes, it does psychosis. So like meth users commonly develop psychotic symptoms like paranoia, hallucinations,
so
delusions.
They give you
of
these drugs when you're
persecution.
young, right? And they cause your brain to have these psychosis at such
And that's
a
a
young age.
meth-induced psychosis.
Then boom, now you're gonna get schizophrenia. If you are somebody who's more susceptible to getting schizophrenia, because it is all predisposed in that regard. If you have these drugs in your system, you're way more than likely now to get schizophrenia. You are. It says here on conclusion, the paragraph here says methamphetamine related disorders has a higher risk of schizophrenia. Plain and simple.
This one right here,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, this
It's like
is
right in the middle there.
Yep.
So it says it plain and simple. This is the first page, the conclusion of the entire document, right?
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, it is highly recommended, as I said earlier, don't do drugs.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah. But, one thing real quick, just to keep
I gotta
going.
go pee.
All right, you do that. I'm going to read this, keep going. So, like we were saying, with like the meth, how meth can cause schizophrenia, like symptoms and all these things. And like you have this like psychosis that happens. Delusion, like the whole delusions of persecution, like people are watching me, like all that stuff. That was the last one that I listed off. But what we were touching on with the whole meth-induced psychosis thing, it literally looks identical to schizophrenia. So for like, basically to put it in layman's terms, a meth user who is in full psychosis is clinically indistinguishable from someone with, paranoid schizophrenia. And meth, and let's talk about like the meth, how meth can trigger schizophrenia in vulnerable people. So if someone already has like a genetic risk to this, well, like for instance, like a parent or like a sibling who was truly, diagnosed with schizophrenia, well, meth can act as that trigger essentially. Especially when it's in their system for a prolonged amount of time. So if they were using it daily for, let's say a month, 2 months, that would be needed. Maybe even 2 weeks, because meth is instant acting. It's not like taking an antidepressant, which I am still against those 99% of the time. It's like antidepressant. In order for it to really take hold and take effect, you have to have it in your system. It has to build up in your system over the course of several days to upwards of like 2 weeks, depending on how your body reacts to it. So with that being said, meth is instant. This is an instant release. You're going to get all the results immediately. So it wouldn't take much time, over the course of taking it for a week or using some form of methamphetamine or amphetamine for 2 weeks or something for it to literally turn into, act as that trigger and trigger in this whole, sorry, Evan just walked back in.
Baby.
I was talking about how meth can trigger schizophrenia and people who are vulnerable. And I just got done going through talking about like really just one, which was genetic risk. right?
No, absolutely.
So
I mean, we also need
yeah.
need to consider that not just meth is so stinking addictive, right? I know we're harping back to it because the articles that I've found and that we are looking over now are all affiliated with schizophrenia and methamphetamines.
Mhm.
That's not the only bad thing that comes from drugs.
No, there's a
There's a plethora. I know that we're harping on this
Mm-hmm.
one specifically because it's kind of fucking interesting, to be honest, how everything's correlated and there's a causation between it. That is where my brain sits happy. If there's correlation and causation, my brain's like, yeah, here's 1,000% dopamine, baby. But you need to remember that not everybody wants to be that happy. Not everybody wants that dopamine push. People want to fucking hate themselves. And that's where they get stuck in this spiraling depression that we talked about earlier with our call in Cody, where you have this antidepressant refill and then you get stuck in this never ending cycle of hatred and greed. And then that's where stoicism comes into play.
yeah.
I find it very important if you find yourself in a loop of I hate myself, I love myself, I hate myself, I love myself, to really go read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations book.
Yeah.
It is a highly sought after thing in the Stoicism world. You can buy it for like $20 on Amazon paperback, get it into your house. It's like a 300-page book. It's nothing. You can read that and really hopefully get a little bit of enlightenment to how to handle your trauma and handle how your life is thrown at you.
Yeah.
Because life comes at you fast, big dog. Buckle up, or you're going to get left behind, playa. I'm telling you right now. It's going to hit you hard and fast, dude.
Yeah.
Life's fucking shitty sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So-
Life is lit. Life is shit.
A lot of people then immediately just take to doing drugs and
Yeah.
finding releases to hide yourself away.
From dealing with all the bullshit.
You shouldn't want to do that.
No.
You shouldn't want to hide from your responsibilities. And you shouldn't want to hide from these things.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that we live in an overstimulating world
That's
where,
exactly right.
you know, back when we were kids, you know, if you wanted to find out what was going on in the world and the, you know, all the things that are happening,
You had to go to your friend.
You had to go to your TV
or somebody you knew.
or someone you knew. Now it's walking around with us in our pocket, and we're always seeing it because it's everywhere.
Or if you got an AirPod and it's in your ear 24/7.
Yep, exactly. And you know, I want to keep pushing between the relation between schizophrenia and meth, because I have a bit of notes here, but it's actually breaking it down so we can actually, like, you know, so it's better understood, or it gives a better perspective on stuff. So,
And all of you who are
Yeah.
joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. We don't always talk about drugs, and we don't always talk about uplifting yourself. We talk about a litany of things, from CIA documents to UAPs and aliens and drugs.
cryptids,
Cryptids,
works,
things like
anything.
that. Feel free to like and subscribe, follow along. Thank you to Bad Cat Studios for sponsoring some of the artwork, some of the things we do here.
Yep.
Thank you to David Southerner and Dustin Beck for the use of the
Yep.
theme song and outro. We're not leaving. I just need to make sure we do the plugs eventually. And if you want to talk to us, smartlyuneducated@gmail.com. It is a real email. Our DMs are open on every platform.
Yep.
We are everywhere. TikTok, Rumble, you fucking name it, we're there.
Yep.
Yeah, reach out to us. Say hi. You can always call the number on the bottom of the screen, right down here, right there. Yeah, you can always call this number. Cody did a minute ago. Talk to us. Say hi. What's up?
Yeah.
If you have an
Yep.
opinion, you hate us, you love us, whatever.
Yeah, or something to give on the
There you go,
drugs.
huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. But you also forgot to give a shout out to two very awesome people. One is, you already said Cody's name, but Cody's the man, and also up and coming greatest author of all time, R.A. motherfucking Cisco. So, yeah, we've had him on a couple times. Oh, let me switch it over so Evan's showing his book. There we go. That's a perfect picture. Hello.
All right, Cisco.
R.A. Cisco. But with that being said, let's move on. So I was in the middle of talking about how meth can trigger schizophrenia in vulnerable people, right? So to move past that, let's talk about the long term.
Let's talk about it.
Long term of
Talk
meth.
about it.
Any form of meth use that increases schizophrenia risks.
Let's talk about
Right.
it.
So we already mentioned this earlier, how, like, you keep using meth, it's going to cause long-term brain damage, regardless if it's street meth or pharmaceutical meth, like Adderall, Vyvanse, all that crap. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it does change the game a little bit on how your body reacts to it and what the long-term effect will be, and what is your chances of coming out of that and reversing the damage, right? That plays a role heavily. But let's talk about the long-term use though. So if, so since there's like, if someone's repeatedly using some form of methamphetamine, well, that's going to cause long-term brain damage. We already knew that.
Yep.
And especially where it really causes that long-term effect is in the dopamine-rich areas of yourself, which is prefrontal cortex, limbic system. And so if people don't know what these roles play, prefrontal cortex is for like your decision making, like being able to actually make rational,
Travis Michael
decisions.
talked about that one time, right? Travis Michael, the guy who did the gate experience that we had on.
Yep.
He talked about how it has become a hardened bone in your side of your brain.
The pineal gland.
Yeah, the pineal gland's hardening.
Yep.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. And and then like the limbic system, that's your emotions. Right? And then you've got the striatum, which is like your feeling of reward and motivation. That's where that really comes from. So this causes like literally long-term damage to those three dopamine-rich areas. And then these are the same brain areas disrupted in schizophrenia. 100%. Meaning that like meth users are at a higher risk for developing schizophrenia without any form of prior symptom.
Okay, so yeah, that leads right into what I was mentioning earlier, right?
Yep.
How even if you don't have any sort of symptoms, oh dude, that hurts my brain. I'll tell you right now, because my correlation between MK Ultra and all these different things really plays pretty heavily into that, unless these people are taking it when they're like 30.
Yeah.
But still, if it onsets it, that really speaks to children having this to then get schizophrenia at a young age.
Yeah. I have a categorical breakdown of differences between meth psychosis and schizophrenia.
Listen to you saying categorical.
Thanks, dude. I worked on that in the mirror for like 10 minutes.
Now tell me how to say oh shit. Yuri Bezmenov. Don't repeat what I said though.
Yuri Bezmenov.
Well,
you
got me there.
I got you there. So, all right. So let's talk about it. So I have this broken down into category, what the category is, and then the difference between meth psychosis and schizophrenia. So the trigger, right? Let's talk about the trigger category. Like what is going to trigger this? Well, for meth psychosis, just meth. But for schizophrenia, it's genetic and environmental. Like around you, what you grew up in, like the environment that you're living in.
Okay, yeah.
Coupled with your genetics, right? Family history, all that crap. Now the onset, like for instance, like for meth psychosis, it's usually like suddenly after a binge, like after you just took it, right? Like it's the first initial intake because it's an instant release that happens. Well, for regular traditional schizophrenia that's unrelated to any kind of meth cases, it's gradual, sometimes. Or it can be sudden, but it's not as fast as like a meth, like a sudden onset. Like if you took some form of methamphetamine, it's not that fucking fast. But it without any form of drugs being put into your system. Now, if you want to talk about like the symptoms between the two, well, they're extremely similar because, like we were saying earlier, for meth psychosis, it's 100% literally a direct duplicate replication of schizophrenia because you have like hallucinations, paranoia, all that bullshit. And then, but the difference is with schizophrenia is that it's literally the same, but it also includes a cognitive decline that happens with schizophrenia. Meth, you're not getting a cognitive decline because you're on meth and it's forcing your brain to be at high function, going.
That plays more and more into the concept of they don't want you to be intelligent. They don't want you to be smart. They want you to be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So these Rothschilds are still at it trying to keep everybody stupid.
Yeah.
Did you know that America is the lead illicit and drug substance user in the world? The next one is Estonia. Can you point to Estonia on a map?
No.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder why America is so engaged in using illicit substances. We all know the CIA is trying to, they initiated the crack epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a fact to me nowadays.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the whole point of all this is. Why are they pushing these drugs? Who made them to begin with and be like, yeah, this is a good idea. Let's give it to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, these are the questions that I like to ask. I don't have the answers to, but
Yeah.
I'm sure I can find them.
One thing there's two things I meant to add. Well, one thing I wanted to add to the overall conversation before I drop a hard stat on you that's gonna make you poop yourself. Yeah, and it's about this. So I was talking about like the difference between meth psychosis and schizophrenia. One thing that needs to be said is that heavy methamphetamine users can permanently cross into full-blown schizophrenia even after they quit and become and achieve sobriety.
I believe it.
Now here, I've got actually a couple hard stats that are gonna make you poop yourself. But the first one I'm gonna say, so they did a study in the Lancet in 2021. They found that meth users are 11 times more likely to develop schizophrenia than non-users.
Yeah.
Like plain day. However, I want to know. I hope someone does a study. I want there to be a study about the whole having a fucking phone that constant like
The dopamine hits.
dopamine and like having to have this nonstop some form of stimulation happening with your eyes and your brain happening with your phone and schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that because I think there's a massive connection.
Oh, 100%.
I didn't see any studies on it when I was looking, trying to find something. I did not see anything on it. That just tells me that maybe they're doing one. I
didn't go too in depth with it, but I'm sure that there's some short-term study about it somewhere. I don't think that we've had this technology long enough to decide to study it in that regard. I mean, meth was invented in 1893 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
By a guy named Nagai Nagayoshi, Japanese scientist.
Bastard.
I know. He made it from plants.
You made it from plants.
He did. The idea here is like doing methamphetamines of any type. You are far more susceptible to getting this schizophrenia psychosis. And that shows in many different aspects. Paranoia, disorganization in life. So that could lead to people being hoarders. That could lead to people having disorganized everything in their life, right?
So basically, if schizophrenia is a gun, metaphorically speaking, if schizophrenia is a gun, meth would be the trigger.
Yeah. That's an awful joke, but yeah.
No, it's not a joke. I'm just saying like that's like summarization of that. Like if schizophrenia was a gun, meth would just be the trigger on it.
That's a very fair point. Yeah. It's a good analogy.
Yeah. Shit.
Right? It's crazy, right? It's crazy shit. And the amount of schizophrenia in America has gone up significantly. So that really speaks volumes to what's going on behind closed doors and what's going on in the world. Because I know everybody out there goes on the internet and sees all sorts of paranoia on the internet of these. What's it called when you think you're being followed by people all the time? It's not gatekeeping. It's gang stalking.
Yeah.
That is a form of paranoia. Is that derived from meth? I would like to see the people who are gang stalking if they at a young age were on Adderall or on some sort of Vyvanse. Cody, what'd you say over there? It said, doing meth, you are far more susceptible to repair a lawnmower than had nothing wrong with it to begin with.
Facts, dude. Facts.
Yeah, probably also more susceptible to. Never mind. I'm not going to finish that thought. Now I'm going to leave it there. You can think as you want.
Yeah. Fuck. Well, I can tell you right now, over the past 15 years, schizophrenia, we were talking about like the jump in, in schizophrenia, right? So just the past 15 years alone, there was a giant jump in cases. And basically, so the number of individuals living with schizophrenia worldwide increased from 14.2 million in 1990 to 23.6 million in 2019. So that basically that's over a 19-year period. Or sorry, a 29-year period, sorry. And basically that is marking basically it's like roughly 60 or 65% rise over nearly just under 3 decades.
Yeah.
And then just in the past 15 years alone, if you just not 15, if you measure the past 10 years, it's a 72% uptick.
I'm telling
just
you.
10 years.
I'm telling you, dude.
Isolating that 10 years. I really think it could be a mixture of numerous mechanics involved, like multiple gears moving. But I think phones and screens and all this technology that we're constantly, no one ever looks away from unless they're asleep. And then some people don't even stop it there. They fall asleep listening to audiobooks.
Or fall asleep playing on their phone or doom scrolling on their phone or
until
watching
3 o'clock
YouTube in the
morning.
background while they're sleeping.
Yep.
It's whatever you do, don't turn the show off though. But turn off your electronics.
Yeah. No
Keep
crap.
us playing in the background while you're sleeping.
Yeah,
we're
got
good for you. We'll you know what? We'll make an ASMR sleep episode for you, and you can listen to it on repeat all night long.
Oh, that's tight, dude.
It's a good idea, right?
Oh yeah.
If you want that, please let us know. We'll actually make it if you want it. It'd be
Yeah.
pretty fun to do,
Well,
I think.
Get this. So new cases per year rose from 941,000 cases per year in 1990 to 1.3 million in 2019.
Whoa.
So there's
granted the population increased.
yes and no. We also are on a decrease too of population at the same time. It's weird, the whole population.
Well,
rise
that's
and
like our
fall.
generation. That's when our generation became adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like the exact time whenever schizophrenia would come around. So the population boomed right there, right? And then now it's on the downtrend significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we only got about 15 more minutes here, by the way.
We only got 15. Yeah.
Is there any pertinent information you want to get out before the week's end?
Oh, but about schizophrenia, yes.
Yeah. I got some cool things to talk about as well.
Can we get
it has
through this
nothing
first?
to do with schizophrenia.
Oh, okay,
Meth,
cool.
But yeah.
Well, let's keep going here. So, like I was saying, it jumped from new cases per year, like I was just saying, rose from 941,000 in 1990 to 1.3 million per year in 2019, which basically reflects anywhere between 35 to 40% increase in annual incidents. But like I said, the past 10 years alone, when I say 10 years, it's actually like closer to 15 years. Basically from 2010 to now, we had that 73% surge. What happened in 2010, everybody? What do you guys remember on technology advancement?
5G?
More than that. Smartphones became the solidified main phone that you could only buy unless
right?
you sought out of your way to go find yourself like a
flip phone
non-smartphone, things like that. No one wants that though. Everyone wants this. This is the number one seller. Smartphones. That is something that in 2010 took hold because you could still go in 2009 and 2008, and when you would go into like a Verizon or a Sprint or a T-Mobile or whatever phone carrier in the store, they would have flip phones on display still.
I remember
in
that.
2010, they no longer did. You had to request it or ask for it, or they kept it out of purview.
You had to go to Walmart to get a burner phone.
Yeah, exactly. So I really think that there is a huge correlation with this, not just pharmaceutical drugs.
I'm sure we'll find out here in the next 10
But
years.
this is a form of meth too.
Oh, absolutely.
All of it is, man. But to move on from that little nugget, let's talk about kind of like disability adjusted life years, the dailies. DALY.
Oh, yeah, how America's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, America has a 6.7 compared to Estonia that has a 5.
Oh my god. That's bad.
That's awful.
That's awful. But the burden measured in dailies escalated from 9.1 million to 15.1 million, indicating just a massive increase in years lost due to like ill health, disability, or early death, things like that. So they factor in that too into these numbers. These numbers ain't lying. Like this is just raw data.
It's like Shakira, but the numbers don't lie.
Shakira.
Numbers and numbers.
Yeah, I was about to try to do the ending thing from Zootopia, but I don't remember it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either. But anyways, there are one little tidbit I want to add, and that's just like the factors of contributing, that do contribute into this increase. So you have a bunch of improved diagnostic practices. So basically, a more enhanced awareness and better diagnostic tools have pretty much led to increased identification of schizophrenia cases. So
wow.
This is contributing to the increase. So they're saying that like these numbers don't lie. However, they didn't have the technology and the methods that they're doing in more current times in the past 15, 20 years that they were doing in the 80s and 70s and 60s and 50s. They didn't do it the same way. Now they talk about population growth, but we already talked about like kind of like the dailies. Like they take into account like people dying and who's alive or whatever. But one of the contributing increases to schizophrenia is the urbanization of where you live. Like basically since all of the countryside where you get away from the city and get away from these little suburban neighborhoods, it's like anywhere you drive, you're stuck in some form of urban environment. You're not in something that's natural where you're actually going to benefit from it, like actually being out in nature and getting away from all the bullshit that doesn't exist for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's almost impossible for like I would say 90% of the population.
Yeah. And that was the last little contributing factors I want to throw in there.
Those are all very high factors into why people are choosing drugs and losing their fucking mind. People are really going off the deep end. You probably say it all the time to yourself when you're driving. Oh my God, people are crazy. They don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
No, they're actually crazy. No, they're crazy. They're more than likely they have schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And they have no idea. Like, there's like a high chance.
Is a perfect example of schizophrenia?
Me. Oh, wait.
This is going to go into politics. This is a perfect example. And it's not just, I know anyone who watches this show and knows our viewpoints on things, I'm sure you're thinking I'm about to just say the extreme left, the liberals, like the insane liberals are out there doing stuff. It's not just them. We're also talking, because if we're unbiased here, I don't give a shit. I'll call out anyone who's being a fucking idiot. It's also the extreme right. It's both extreme right and extreme left. All of them are displaying pure schizophrenia symptoms across the board. If you watch any videos of someone who's like an extreme right-leaning person, like far like beyond that, just extreme right, if you watch how they speak, their emotional engagement into that conversation, they display exactly how a schizophrenic acts. Same goes for the extreme left, liberals, extreme liberals, all this stuff, all that crap. When you see them freak out randomly while you're just trying to have a casual conversation, like the debates that happen.
What do you mean? What do you mean freak out casually? What do you mean, dude? No, I don't.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, dude? My dad owns a dealership.
I drive a white BMW.
Wait, what? Dude, you're rich. Dude. Like, what?
No, I get bad loans.
Yeah, bad loans, dude. You in debt.
Did you see?
But no, seriously, the extreme left and extreme right, extreme right and extreme left, all exhibit across the board schizophrenic symptoms and behaviors. So that's something you guys need to think about. What is it? What is the commonality between the two of the people who are on either side of this political spectrum and they behave this way? Well, maybe a genetic thing. There's probably a bunch of different factors that go into it. But I guarantee you, I already know for a fact the average extreme left liberal, if you were to look through their medicine cabinet, they probably got a fucking prescription for fucking 8 different goddamn things.
Yeah, you can look through
minimum 2.
You can also look through the right.
Same. No, that's what I was getting to as well. I guarantee they both have a smorgasbord of fucking prescriptions, or maybe they just take meth. I don't know. Maybe they just do some other form of stimulant. Special K. Hey, well, I wouldn't say that's a stimulant.
What, ketamine?
No, ketamine's a great time, dude. No, I'm just kidding. Drugs are bad, guys. Back to you, Bill.
Dude, I don't know why you keep calling me Bill. Ben, we have talked about this many times off the air. You know my name.
That was my MPD kicking in, dude.
You know my name.
Yeah.
Okay?
But
you know it.
anyways.
You know my name. But hey, no. Don't you dare. Did you see Donald Trump do the air cocks the other day at Saudi Arabia?
Wait, repeat that again?
He did. He gave air blow jobs in Saudi Arabia.
What?
He was trying to do like the fight fist, but it was from the side, and it looked like he was just doing air blow jobs, dude.
Still my boy Blue.
Absolutely hysterical. He was like, yeah.
Oh my God. Wait, can you do that one
He's
more
like,
time?
No. Also, the Large Hadron Collider can now make gold.
I actually bookmarked that. I was
The
going to bring that up.
Anunnaki cycle is coming to a full, complete circle.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting because I actually bookmarked that. Let me.
I'm looking
pull
at it
that
right
up.
now.
Oh, I'm going to pull it up on the
Scientists at CERN's Large Hadron Collider have successfully transformed lead
Yeah,
into gold atoms. Dude, that is wild.
yeah. This is the deal right here. Let me go ahead and throw that over real quick. Sorry, it was on an Xpost, but I saved it. I should have grabbed the link, but I've already gone to the link. But you guys can all look it up too. But basically, actually, you know what? I'll drop the link for this bookmark in the chat, and you guys can go look at the link or whatnot. But yeah, dude, it's insane that they created gold.
This is what wow, what happened to my voice,
It's like
dude?
full circle on this thing, man. Full circle, like you were saying. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, it's complete full circle. The Anunnaki come here to mine gold and create gold and take gold away, and now the cycle's coming back full circle for them to return and take gold back. And now we have a way to synthesize gold. Are you shitting me? Like, what kind of prophecy is that, bro? That's insane.
Yeah.
And in the times where money is so valuable and is so unvaluable, and they are like gold, and now boom, oh, we can
Yeah.
create our own gold now.
Yeah. I'm going to say one thing real quick. It's off topic, but right now we have the lines open for
Anybody.
about 3 minutes waiting on a phone call if anyone wants to call in about what we were talking about with the whole schizophrenia and meth and, basically this kind of like lost battle on different drugs that people aren't talking about. And things like that. If you were watching if you weren't able to watch from the beginning, you jumped in a little late to where we were currently in our live broadcast. We even touched on like antidepressants and things of that nature, and psychology and all that fun stuff. So, but the lines are going to be open for about 2 more minutes, 3 minutes roughly, and then yeah. So this is your opportunity if you want to call in and talk about anything like that, or tell Evan that he's not so cool. How do you feel about that, Evan?
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh,
You can call in here and make fun of me. I don't care. I got a back like Godzilla. It's made of spikes and rough, dude.
that's tight, dude. Did you grow up near like
It's a big back. Wait,
a Japanese nuclear power plant?
I did actually. Whenever I pee, it burns.
And the reason they call it
That's
Godzilla is because the nuclear facility that wasn't supposed to be known about, that was secret to them, was actually called Godzilla. That's where they got the name, dude.
The secret nuclear laboratory called Godzilla.
Called Godzilla.
What is Godzilla?
That's how the Japanese say it.
Now we're getting somewhere, dude. I don't.
Dude, Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Godzilla may be patent, copyrighted, but you're gonna run like it's still Godzilla chasing you. I'll tell you what. Good call back to Austin Powers.
Oh, dude, that's a great callback to Austin Powers.
3 gold member. We'll run like it is Godzilla, but due to copyright issues, it's not.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight, hanging out. I know we're not leaving just yet, but
I did drop the link in the chat to the thing about the Hadron Collider with gold.
I'm sure if you're on X or if you're on the internet at all, I'm sure you've seen that today or yesterday whenever it was popular. But feel free to go look at it. Tell everybody you know about us. If you're not going to call in, that's fine. Call next week.
Yeah.
Call anytime.
You can leave a voicemail.
That's what I'm saying right now. If you call anytime during the week, you can leave a voicemail. The number is 469-659-7364. That is for our audio listeners. Those of you out there in the audio world, we see you. We love you. Call in. Call us.
Yeah. We'll regurgitate, or actually, we'll probably just play the voicemails.
I was gonna
on
say
air.
we're gonna read the voicemail.
I was about to say I'll write it down and we'll read it. No, we'll play it.
Yeah, we'll get a transcript and
play
have
it.
AI Conan O'Brien read it for you.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. Or Mike Tyson.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining the show.
Yeah. You know, even if it's like a hate voicemail and you guys want to send something to us and be like, all right, we don't like you very much, that's cool too. We'll
Cody,
still
is
play
that the Gork phone number?
it. What? Hey, don't call him out. Come on, man. Get with the program. He's doing us a service here. But no, I think we'll we've only got a couple minutes left and then we're gonna be closing out. But with everything being said about what we're talking about, I know we really.
That's Mike Jones. 281-330-8004. Hit Mike Jones out on the low. Mike Jones about to flow before that. That's copyright. Copyright.
Come on.
Copyright.
But I know we were talking. The thing we ended up kind of really focusing on the most in this was schizophrenia and meth and the correlation and how they're like basically getting linked to each other now. Like the information's there.
Yeah, it's very
showing
prevalent.
itself. And if you weren't with us at the beginning and you're just now joining in, we talked about everything from the psychology model that people use today, which is Sigmund Freud's model. That's what they heavily use and push most of the time. That's why everyone always constantly is stuck in an inner loop about their trauma, and they always have to talk to someone instead of equipping yourself with the proper tools and looking inward and basically a kind of a more positive push on psychology, where basically like you're looking into your inner potential and moving forward towards like a self-realization and actually moving forward in your life and leaving the bullshit that you struggle with or something bad that happened, whatever it may be, in the fucking past. And that was done by it's Carl Jung's side of things. But there's not money to be made in people that don't have to keep going to their weekly or bi-weekly therapist meetings.
Yeah.
So that should tell you guys a lot. You follow the fucking money. That spells it out. But then also actually pay the fuck attention. Put down your phone when you're out and about and fucking look around the world and see who the fuck's around you. And actually you'll start to notice some things. Like actually pay attention to your surroundings and your environment, because that plays a crucial fucking role. Then you'll be able to start seeing the bullshit we're talking about.
That's exactly right. Don't stay so comfortable. Test your boundaries.
Yeah.
It's okay to be uncomfortable.
And if you're depressed, talk to Evan here.
Yeah. Hey, I love depressed people. I talk to Ben every day.
Yeah. Wait, what? I'm not depressed. I'm repressed.
I'm dressed and repressed, dude.
Repressed anger, dude.
I'm trying to get my reparations, dude, from being repressed so much, bro.
Fuck. Oh, and that's a news highlight I like to give. I'm going to give a news highlight. What is the name of that bald black chick who's pushing for the reparations bullshit still? I think I don't know if she's a part of Congress.
Looking at me?
I'm asking you if you know who I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
I don't remember her name, but it was either today or yesterday or maybe the day before yesterday. Basically was saying that white people need to pay reparations for slavery now. It's like, bitch, I didn't own a slave. And you weren't a slave yourself. If anything, we're all slaves to the system of corporations and our corrupt government. Congratulations. We're all fucked. And you want to talk about reparations for shit that you didn't even live through. Fuck off. Dumb bitch. I'm sorry, but if I heard a white person saying that bullshit, because my family, I'm Irish. I'm part Irish. And I actually I know my genealogy and I know where it comes from. We were fucking slaves. But no one in my fucking family's going, we want reparations from these so-and-so people. No, we're like, yeah, it didn't happen to us.
Yeah, gotta be stoic.
If I heard any member of my family trying to claim reparations, I'd slap the fuck out of them. Be like, bitch, it didn't happen to you.
My wife's family is Italian. Italians got hung and murdered all throughout New York.
You might be entitled to some reparations, my bad.
So, I mean...
But yeah, it's just the dumbest thing. I don't know. Sorry,
man.
we always give random news things, of things that happen in the world and what's going on. And the fact that this whole reparations thing
Cody,
is still a thing.
Lord.
Fuck.
Bro, you are on a ball tonight, my guy. You are on a absolute ball
Just read it.
tonight.
Are you gonna read it? Or you want me to read it?
I'm not reading.
I'll read it. It's in the live chat. I didn't say this. I'm just reading what was sent to us from an anonymous person. Just kidding. It was Cody. I'm just kidding. It wasn't Cody. His name is Cody with a K, not a C. Says, happy 4 years of sobriety to George Floyd.
And with that, everybody, I hope you'll have a wonderful evening. We will see you next week, Friday, as per usual. We try to do 5:30 CST. Thank you all so much for hanging out. As always, I'm Evan. That's Ben. Follow us everywhere. Send us an email. Talk to us. Say what's up.
Yeah, just remember, if you're going to take anything from this, one, stay uneducated. That's our motto here. And then secondly, I'm not the racist one.
And don't do fucking drugs. Don't do drugs.
Yeah, don't do drugs.
Go for a walk. Go pet your dog.
Yeah, dogs are awesome.
Don't do drugs.
Unless you're not a dog person.
The government wants you to do drugs. Keep the drugs out of your brain. Press the button. Keep the drugs out of your brain.
Which button? Oh, that button.
Keep the drugs out of your brain.
Goodbye, everybody. We love you.